All right, so hello there. Thank you so much, folks, for being able to join this session today. I'm Mahashri, Product Marketing Specialist at Unstract, and I'll be your host for this session. Now, before we get started, here are a few housekeeping points I'd like to quickly run over. So firstly, all attendees in this webinar will automatically be on mute throughout the course of this session. In case you have any questions, please do drop them in the Q&A tab that you'll find in the bottom panel of your screen, and one of us from the team will be able to get back to you with the answers via text. You can also interact with fellow attendees using the chat tab. This is also where you'll let us know in case you run into any technical difficulties during this session. Now, as a final point, I request you to leave your feedback on your way out of this webinar when you'll be redirected to a feedback form. This will really help us improve our webinar experience going forward. So with that said, let's get started with the session. Now, in this webinar, we're looking to talk everything about document extraction at the cutting edge. Now, for those of you that have been observing this space for a while, you may know that document extraction has come a long way from traditional OCR to the advanced large language models that are currently leading the front. Now, large language models do bring a transformative impact to document extraction with their solutions for various age-old extraction challenges that we've been dealing with. Now, this is specifically what we're interested in this webinar. We'll take a look at how LLMs perform when it comes to document extraction challenges, and we'll also take a look at the limitations that they are currently bringing with them. And to address these limitations, we'll be introducing LLM Whisperer, which is Unstract's text extraction service and preprocessor tool. So for those of you that are new to LLM Whisperer, as I mentioned, it is Unstract's text extraction service and preprocessor, which is known to prepare documents for peak LLM performance and also improve the LLM outputs that you get. So we'll get into the demo segment of this webinar where you'll be able to see how LLM Whisperer works in practically, and you'll also get a hands-on view of how you get extracted outcomes and how it can be improved by this platform. So we mentioned a couple of things in the introduction, and just to give it some form as to what we'll be covering in this webinar, we have our agenda over here. Now, we've carefully designed this agenda keeping in mind the mixed audience that we have in this webinar. We'll start off by addressing the commonly faced document extraction challenges today. So this will set context as to what is the fundamental problem that we're looking to handle. Moving on from there, we'll take a look at how LLMs pose themselves as a promising solution, as well as what are the limitations that they bring with them. From there, we'll take a look at LLM Whisperer as an enabler to overcome these limitations and everything else that the platform brings to the table. And as a fourth segment, which is probably one of the most awaited segments of this webinar, is we'll have a demo where we'll compare the outcome that you get when you pass documents directly to the top LLMs in the market today versus what happens when you pre-process it using LLM Whisperer. So for your understanding, this is a diagram where we've shown you what you can expect in the demo segment. So you either directly pass your document through one of the leading LLMs, and we'll take a look at the data extracted. And the second approach we'll be taking is you take the same document and you pre-process it first with LLM Whisperer and then through an LLM, and we'll be able to compare the outcome out of these two extractions and see what is the impact that LLM Whisperer is actually making. So that said, we'll move on to the opening discussion of this webinar, that is document extraction challenges. You can see that we've outlined 5 commonly faced challenges over here, the first one being content complexity. Now, documents come in various content formats and layouts depending on the information they represent. So this layout is usually designed keeping in mind the best possible way for it to be consumed by a human, but this is not necessarily always the best way for us to feed this data or information to a system or a machine. So usually, we deal with nested tables or rotated text or even forms with various radio buttons and check boxes. So these are all easy for human consumption, but when it comes to systems, again, it could be quite difficult to extract data from these forms. So what we're looking at with LLMs is one powerful capability they bring to the table is that they are able to understand documents very much like a human would. So while previous gen tools had to be deployed specifically for each of these different formats. You'd have a specific tool dealing with nested tables or with rotated text, and you end up using a combination of these tools to extract your data overall. But that is a challenge we are overcoming with LLMs, as they understand the context of your documents just like a human would, and they are able to extract data pretty accurately from all these different content complexities without any other external tool or help. So we'll take a look at how this functions in our demo section. Moving on to the next extraction challenge, we have scanned documents. Now, certainly there are efforts being taken to digitize documents in business operations, but the ground reality remains that physical documents or hard copies still remain an integral part of various business functions. And what happens with these documents at a later stage is that they're usually scanned and uploaded into systems for easy maintenance or even for data analysis. Now, when these scans are done, we cannot always be guaranteed a good scan. You might have skewed scans or scans with bad lighting or bad resolution, especially when they are taken using a mobile phone. So your solution at the cutting edge should really be looking at dealing with these different types of scans and still being able to extract data, because ultimately the data these scanned physical documents have is invaluable for the business. Moving on to the next challenge, we have handwritten text, which can be considered as a byproduct of the previous point that I spoke about. So we spoke about physical documents playing an integral role in business operations. And a natural consequence of using physical documents is that we'll have to deal with handwritten text. So this could be forms that are filled in with details by hand, or you could have a physical document with additional notes added by hand. But whatever it is, only if we are able to retrieve the information that these handwritten notes represent, will we actually end up having a 360-degree view into what the document completely has to offer. So we'll again see how LLMs are able to extract data from handwritten notes. So moving on to the fourth point, we have data privacy. Now, this is again of paramount importance, especially when we are dealing with sensitive data. There is a lot of skepticism as to how well LLMs are able to handle your data. Now, while I cannot speak on the behalf of the models, what I can say is that a platform like LLM Whisperer is carefully designed, keeping in mind the protection of data and the confidentiality that we'll have to maintain. So we'll again take a look at the various compliances that the platform adheres to and how it is able to ensure data privacy. As a final extraction challenge, we have result validation. So, all right, I have my document extraction. I'm able to extract the data from my documents, but how do I validate whether the extracted data is in fact accurate and in fact correct? So especially with LLMs, they can hallucinate, or they might also end up bringing incorrect answers. So currently, the LLM models do not offer a way of validating your output. So we'll again see how LLM Whisperer offers a workaround, and you can actually arrive at a validation using this platform. So with that, folks, we've quickly covered the document extraction challenges that we have over here. And these are quite age-old challenges. They are not new. But what we are rather interested in this session is the solution that we have currently at the cutting edge for these challenges. So this solution that we have is really making a mark and is being a differentiator from all the other previous tools that we had. So let's take a look at what makes LLMs a differentiator. So the foremost reason I would say is contextual understanding. Now, unlike previous gen models or tools to extract data from documents, LLMs do not just extract your text and consider them as characters. They actually, when they extract text from documents, they are able to understand the context of the document and what the document is actually trying to convey. So this is very much like how a human would consume information. And this capability is what is leading them to arrive at more accurate results and outcomes. A McKinsey report even states that with LLMs for document extraction, we are able to bring down the extraction error outcome rate by 40%. So that is the number that we are looking at when we are deploying LLMs for document extraction. Moving on from there, another powerful capability of LLMs is that they are able to handle unstructured document data formats. So this means that you do not have to pre-train your model or define any other rules for it to extract data from documents. Even if an LLM is looking at a document for the first time, it is able to extract data, unlike the previous gen tools that we had, where we either had to define rules or perform some sort of training. Now, a powerful byproduct benefit that we get from that is that we are able to reduce the human effort involved in document extraction to a very large extent, where right now people can actually enter prompts in natural language. So this also moves on to democratize document extraction among the workforce. We are able to, even with minimal coding knowledge, we are able to extract the data that we want. And this again pulls down the dependency that we initially had on the IT teams. And it's not just the human effort, we bring down the time and the costs involved in document extraction. So finally, moving to the final point we have over here, we're going to be talking about semantic data extraction. So what this means is that LLM models are able to understand the relationship between the different text fields that you have in your document. So this means that rather than just extracting data points, today we are able to go a mile further and also extract actionable insights. So for you to understand this better, let me take an example. Let's say we have a credit card statement. So it would ideally have details like the customer name or the address and so on. So with previous gen tools, you would be able to extract, let's say, the customer name. But what we are seeing with LLMs is that we're able to go a step further, and we can enter a prompt that says, give me a summary of this document or retrieve the critical points from this document. So this is the extra step that we're able to take, and LLMs, being at the cutting edge, are only rapidly evolving on a day-to-day basis and bringing more and more use cases under their hood. So that said, we're able to take a look at the various differentiators that are putting LLMs in the limelight when it comes to document extraction. However, if we are looking to deploy these models in our systems for this purpose, then it is equally important to take a look at the limitations that they come along with as well. So over here, you can see we have outlined two major limitations that we observe when we deploy LLMs for document extraction use cases. The first one being that LLM outputs are only as good as the input they receive. This means that in case your LLM is not able to understand the input document in the format that you upload it in, it is most definitely going to give you inaccurate outputs. So this is as simple as the concept of garbage in, garbage out. Now, this is where a platform like LLM Whisperer comes into the picture, because with LLM Whisperer, what you can do is prepare your documents in a format that is LLM-ready. So we'll take a look at how this performs this function in a little while. Now, the second limitation we have over here is that LLM results cannot be independently validated. So we briefly touched upon this when we were covering the extraction challenges. Currently, LLMs do not support a way in which you can validate the results. And they're also non-deterministic in nature, being able to give you an output no matter what prompt you give, and there is no way of verifying this result. So how do you trust this? So again, LLM Whisperer offers certain accuracy features that will help you get an understanding of how accurate a result or an outcome is. We'll take a look at it and when we cover the LLM Whisperer overview. All right, so here's a quick understanding of LLM Whisperer and what the platform brings. So as I mentioned earlier, LLM Whisperer is Unstract's text extraction and pre-processor tool that prepares documents in an LLM-ready format. So how does this do it? One of the defining features of the platform is its capability to preserve the layout of the original document. So as you can see under layout preserving, what we're talking about over here is when you upload your document and pre-process it using LLM Whisperer, it is able to retrieve the text from the document while preserving the layout of the text that you see in the original document. So this is the capability that really helps LLMs understand the context to the best of their abilities, because as I mentioned earlier, they do consume information in a way that is very similar to humans. So by preserving the layout, what you're doing is preserving the context, the full context of the original document. So this leads to maximum LLM accuracy, no matter what the document format is. You could have radio buttons, nested tables, and a lot more. We will take a look at how this works following this slide. Moving on from there, we also spoke about LLM Whisperer being able to offer certain accuracy enabling capabilities, which help you verify the extracted outcomes. So two major features that the platform has to offer over here is that it is able to give you first a confidence score. So depending on, for all the text that is extracted from your document, the platform will give you a confidence score on how confident it is that this is in fact the original text present in the document. So you can use this as a benchmark or as a standard for you to understand how how accurate the text extraction has been done, and you can see how far you're willing to go and trust this extraction. And another capability the platform has to offer is that it is able to retrieve the coordinates of the individual text. So depending on the original document, it is able to retrieve a bounding box or the coordinate where that particular text was present in the original document. So with these coordinates, you can even have a human in the loop when you deploy this data in downstream operations to be able to verify whether the extracted text is in fact accurate. Now we will take a look at how this looks in the downstream operations, and you will be able to get an understanding of both the layout preserving mode as well as the accuracy enabling capabilities. And finally, LLM Whisperer, depending on your business use case, supports flexible deployment options. You can deploy it as a cloud offering, as an API, or as a JavaScript client or a Python client. And finally, to wrap it up, LLM Whisperer is designed to ensure the privacy of your data by being ISO, GDPR, SOC 2, and HIPAA compliant as well. So with that said, let's jump into an LLM Whisperer deep dive where we'll take a look at how the platform works and what are the capabilities and how it is deployed. So for this, I'll just take you to the LLM Whisperer interface that I have over here. So as you can see, this is my interface. And one interesting thing that the platform offers is that when you sign up for LLM Whisperer, you get access to the end-to-end capabilities with no features being limited, and all of this for free. So what you can do is you have a daily limit of 100 pages that you can extract text from using this platform on a daily basis, and you can test the various documents that you have in your business. So this is where I can upload a document of my own and get started with the text extraction. Or you also have various sample documents over here. So you can see there are a range of documents. There are forms, there are handwritten forms that are filled by hand. There are condensed tables as well as scanned images over here. So just to show you an idea of how this looks, I'm going to open this table. So as you can see, this document contains a table that is very condensed, and it has a lot of information, which would ideally be difficult if I were to parse this directly through an LLM model. But what we are seeing over here is LLM Whisperer's capability of extracting this text and maintaining the layout of this text. And you can also choose to whether or not you want to enable the rows and the column lines to be extracted in your in the raw view or the LLM-ready format, which you'll be feeding to the LLM next. So as you can see, the platform is able to maintain the spacing as well as the text that is present in the original document. Now, just to show you another example for you to get a better picture, we have over here a rather badly scanned invoice where you have bad lighting and the text is not too clear. You even have an oil stain over here. This is a receipt from a burger joint, apparently. And you can see how the text has been extracted by preserving the layout of the document. So we spoke about how LLM outcomes are only as good as the input that they receive. And the best way to send them the input is to preserve the layout of the original document when you extract the text from the document. So this is the input which will make the LLM perform best on this particular document. So this is what we see the capabilities of layout preserving with LLM Whisperer. So LLM Whisperer again can be deployed in various ways as the API Python client or as a JavaScript client. So as you can see, we have an API key, a single API key over here, which can be used for multiple document data extractions. And you can also download this as a Postman collection for your deployment. So let me just show you an example of how this is done. So over here, I have actually set up this call. I've uploaded a sample document just to give you an idea of what this document looks like. So this is the document we're dealing with. It is a loan application, which is number one scanned, and it also has details written in by hand. So you can see that the customer name, the social security number, their marital status has a checkbox, and various other details are entered by hand. And on the second page, we even have a disoriented scan. So this is not a very great scan. It has a lot of information, which is quite fuzzy. And yeah, so let's see how well the platform is able to extract the text from this document. So let me go back to my Postman API call. So yeah, all right. So over here in this call, I've uploaded the document, and I can also set certain parameters over here to control how I want this to be processed. So I can, as you can see, I can control the median filter or the Gaussian blur. I can even mark whether or not I want vertical and horizontal lines from tables to be extracted, like in the example you saw earlier. So in this case, I've already made this call, and you can check the status. So we have some data as to how long it took for this extraction to be done and what is the status. So this is a successful extraction. And finally, over here, you can see how the text has been extracted from this particular document. So you can see the layout is again being preserved, and this was information that was entered by hand. So we have the customer, the applicant name, the social security number, and we also have the marital status, which was checked in a checkbox. So all of this is accurately retrieved. And moving on to the second page, we looked at the disoriented ID card scan, and you can see how the details have been retrieved while still preserving the layout. So this is ultimately the text that will, or the document format that will be parsed through your LLMs for you to get the data that you're looking to retrieve. Now we also spoke about certain accuracy enabling capabilities. We spoke about how the system can also give you confidence scores on each of the text extracted, and how you can also get access to the coordinates of the text, which can be used in downstream operations for highlighting. So let me just make this call again after enabling the highlighting capability, and you'll be able to see how you get your metadata. So I'm uploading the document again, and let's check the status. Let's just give it a few seconds for it to process. All right. So now that this is done, you can see how my confidence metadata is retrieved. So you have the text extracted, what are the coordinates of this text, as well as the confidence score that you get. So this is how confident the service is on the particular extracted text. And this will give me an idea of whether or not I want to go ahead with this extraction. So you have the various texts over here along with the confidence score and the coordinates, which form the bounding box on the source document. So moving on, we again have the coordinates of each of the lines present in your document. So you can again use this information for highlighting purposes. So this is how your metadata looks. And just to give you an understanding of how this can be deployed in downstream operations, let me quickly move to my Unstract platform where I have deployed this highlighting. All right. So this is Unstract. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the platform, this is an end-to-end document extraction or ETL platform that we're looking at, where not only can you upload documents and extract data or pre-process them into an LLM-ready format, but in this platform, you can also specify prompts that give an idea of what is the data you're looking to extract, and you can also deploy them using various deployment options. Now, if I had to get into the details of Unstract, that would be a webinar on its own. So in this case, let's just see how LLM Whisperer has been able to create this document into an LLM-ready format and also support highlighting. So you can see that this is a credit card statement over here, and we have a few pages to this document. So the first step LLM Whisperer would do is to extract the text and maintain the layout. So you have the extracted text over here, And even something as small as the logo, as you can see over here, is extracted, maintaining the spacing between the text. And you have the various details of the lines given over here, which will again be used when it comes to highlighting. So in this specific project, I have enabled highlighting, and just to show you how this works. So we have over here a few prompts that contain information on what is the data I'm looking to extract from this document. So we're going to extract the customer name, we're extracting the address, spend line items from this credit card statement, and so on. Now, if I want to know where this address was specifically was extracted from the source document, since I have enabled highlighting using the metadata that you saw earlier, I just have to click on this output, and you can see how the platform is able to highlight that corresponding spot using the bounding box and the coordinates in the source document. So this is how it allows you, for instance, if I click on city, you get where the city was fetched from the original document. So this is how you can actually have a human in the loop in case you need to manually review some of your extractions using the metadata that you get from LLM Whisperer. So some industries actually require this as a compliance, and this is how LLM Whisperer really makes it possible. So with that, I think we've taken an overview of most of the capabilities that LLM Whisperer has to offer. And while this is a bird's eye view of everything, you can get a deeper understanding by going through our documentation over here. You even have a getting started guide that you can go through and sign up for the platform and the playground that we looked at in case you're looking to check out how this works for your particular business documents. Now, LLM Whisperer is free of charge for the first 100 pages that you can upload. And in case your limit exceeds that, you would be charged based on the usage and the kind of documents you're looking to extract text from. So these are the various file formats that are supported as input. We also support webhooks so that you can have one, you can also be invested in data extraction and be immediately notified upon completion and other operations. And there is extensive documentation on the API deployment as well as the Python and JavaScript client deployments as well that you can go through. So with that, let me go back to my presentation. And we've taken a look at what LLM Whisperer has to offer and how it can really help you achieve data extraction the way you'd like. So while we have seen the various capabilities and how it works in data extraction, I thought it would be interesting to actually compare the outcomes in real world using real world document extraction tasks. So in the upcoming segment, what we'll be seeing is that we'll be parsing the same document in two different ways. So in the first way that you see over here, we'll be performing document extraction where we'll be retrieving some data from a particular document without pre-processing. So we will directly be parsing it through some of the leading LLMs in the market today, that is Gemini 2.5 Flash, ChatGPT Plus, and Claude 3.7 Sonnet. And in the other approach, we'll take the same document and we will process it using our preprocessor, that is LLM Whisperer. And in this case, after pre-processing, we will be sending it to ChatGPT for data extraction. So with that said, let me move on and show you the outcomes of this exercise. So we've actually performed this exercise with a bunch of documents, and I've just shortlisted a few over here for you to get a good understanding of how these models work with different document formats and types. So firstly, we have over here a credit card statement, and it is a pretty clean document and it is neatly formatted. So you would have any other detail that you'd have details any other credit card statement will contain. So you have the account summary, you have the details of the customer, like their name, their address, the payment information over here. And on the second page, you have a list of the spend line items. So let's take a look at what is the data that we're looking to extract from this particular document. So over here, we have the various prompts that we will be giving to these LLM models, as well as when we parse it through LLM Whisperer. So the first prompt will be extracting the customer name from this credit card statement. In the second prompt, we're looking to extract the full address. And we've also given it a structured JSON. So I want it in this particular schema with the full address, the city, as well as the zip code. Moving on, we'll be retrieving some payment information. And in the fourth prompt, we'll be retrieving a simple JSON object with the spend date, the spend description, as well as the amount, which will be again formatted to 2 decimal places. So you can see how I can also define the schema in which I want the data to be extracted. We'll again we'll also be retrieving the opening and close date of this statement and what is the sum of previous balance, payment credits, and purchases. So firstly, we uploaded this document to Gemini, and we also gave the prompts. And you can see how Gemini has been able to retrieve the output. So this output has been verified, and it was able to do a good job. It was able to retrieve all of the data that we were looking at. And you can see how it's been able to retrieve this, keeping in mind the schema that we had asked for. So we have the customer name, the address, payment information, and list of spend line details, spend line items as well. And finally, we'll have the opening and closing date as well as the sum. So similarly, Claude was able to do a good job with this particular document. And all of this output has been verified. And we see the same with ChatGPT. So you might wonder that these models are actually retrieving the data in spite of not performing pre-processing. But one thing to consider is that this is a rather simple document with clean formatting. And while we're not saying that LLMs do not perform on all documents, when it is neatly formatted, you can see in this case, the models are able to retrieve the data that you're looking for. Now, in our upcoming examples, you will be able to take a look at certain more complex documents, and we'll see how the models are able to work in those cases. So just finally, to show you how LLM Whisperer is deployed in this case, we have the original document over here, and under raw view, you can see how LLM Whisperer has created an LLM-ready format by preserving the layout. And we also have the various prompts on the left over here with the output extracted. So let me move on to the next example where we have a slightly more complex document. So this is the same document you'd seen earlier. This is the loan application. We saw that this is a scanned document with some details entered by hand. And we also had a disoriented scan of the ID card on the second page. So let's take a look at what is the information we're looking to retrieve in this case. So firstly, we'll be extracting some personal information. So we'd be getting this particular applicant's social security number, citizenship type, hair color, eye color, and so on. If you closely take a look at it, the details like the citizenship type or marital status are all details from the first page, whereas the remaining are from the second page. So we'll see how it is able to bring these two data together and present it in the same outcome. Moving on, we'll also be looking to extract some customer contact information, applicant address information, whether the applicant is self-employed or a business owner. And finally, we'll be retrieving the gross income and the rent given by the applicant in this application. So firstly, we've uploaded this document to Gemini, and we've also given it the prompts that you looked at right now. So we were able to see that Gemini was in fact able to retrieve the output. And by looking at it, it does look pretty decent. But upon closer inspection, what we did notice is that there were certain incorrect extractions and incomplete extractions as well. For instance, looking at the personal information over here, we have the sex field given as null. Now, this is the extraction done by Gemini. However, if I were to compare this with that done when this document was first pre-processed by LLM Whisperer, we have over here that the sex is retrieved as female. So just to cross-check this with the original document, let me open this, and upon closer inspection of the scan, you can see that in fact there is a field which gives the details of the sex. However, it was not retrieved properly with the LLM model when the document was directly passed through it. So this was one inconsistency that we saw with Gemini. And another inconsistency was that if you take a look at the gross monthly income and rent, we have 8,000 and 4,300 respectively. However, looking at the document, what we see over here is that the monthly, while the gross monthly income is retrieved correctly, the monthly rent over here is given as 1,300 by the applicant. So what the model probably did over there is confuse this 1 because of the handwriting for a 4. So these are the issues that we're really looking to overcome with pre-processing. Because while this is while all the data has been extracted, these are outcomes which are incorrect, and when we are handling larger documents or more volumes of documents, it's going to be impossible to nitpick and look at each of these outcomes, and there is also currently no way to validate whether or not this particular outcome is accurate. So just to see what LLM Whisperer was able to retrieve, you can see that over here, we do clearly have that the gross monthly income is 8,000, and the rent is also 1,300, and that is the data that you see reflecting over here in the prompt as well. So moving on to ChatGPT and Claude. So what we noticed with these two models is that they were not able to, in fact, process the scan at all. For instance, we have the prompt over here given to ChatGPT. Let me just upload this document from my local file. Now, when I do this, you will see that ChatGPT is throwing an error message. It was not able to find, it could not extract the text from this particular file. So it basically dropped out of the race in this particular case. Moving on to Claude, we found a very similar output where Claude was also not able to process the scan document. So this actually was a common observation that we'd seen across the various other documents that we had performed this particular exercise with, where Claude and ChatGPT did not process a lot of scanned documents when they were directly given to the models. But what we see with LLM Whisperer in this case is, I mentioned earlier that we'll be using ChatGPT for all our extractions. So as you can see, over here, we are deploying a GPT model for this particular data extraction. And when this same document was uploaded to the GPT model directly, it did not accept the document at all. But because we are able to pre-process it and perform this stage, you can see that the very same model is actually able to retrieve this information and pretty accurately. So this is the difference or the outcome that we see when we use pre-processing, and why we stress again that it is a necessity in this day and age. So moving on to the next document, we have a nested table over here. Now, we've just picked this document to show you the various document formats and how these models perform. So in this case, we have some details as to the sports facility and their availability in different schools. So you can see two different schools given over here. What are their classes or grades that they have, what is the class strength or the number of students in each grade, and whether or not sports facilities are available for these classes. So we'll take a look at the prompts. So we'll be extracting the name of the school and whether or not they have sports facilities. So this will be a simple yes or no extraction that I'm looking at. The second prompt will extract the name of the school along with what are the classes available, which will be returned as a string array. The third prompt is looking to extract the specific strength of a grade 10 from XYZ public school. So this is 45. This is the number that we're looking to extract. And finally, we'll be extracting the strengths of the classes 11 and 12 from both the schools given. So this, again, when it was first uploaded to Gemini and we've also passed the prompts, we were able to get the outcome, but it was incomplete because Gemini was able to only pull out the outcome for the first prompt given, whereas the remaining prompts were pretty much incomplete. So this was the observation with Gemini. Moving on to ChatGPT and Claude, however, we were able to retrieve all of the outcome, and we did verify it to be pretty accurate. So you see over here, we've retrieved even the class strength and all the other outcome that you saw for the different prompts. And the same goes with Claude. So another observation I'd like to bring to your notice over here is we did notice that while Gemini was able to retrieve data from scanned documents, in most cases when there were condensed tables or nested tables, during our exercise, we did notice that Claude and ChatGPT did outperform Gemini in many instances. And just to show you how this parses through LLM Whisperer first, so you have the LLM-ready document format and the remaining output that's retrieved over here. Now, as a final document, I just wanted to show you this document because to show you the level of complexity that pre-processing can handle. So this is a pretty complex document because it's barely legible even for the human eye. So you have a pretty intricate checked background and also handwritten text, which is not easily legible. But I can see that this is a letter made out to somebody, and it's there are a few sender details over here as well. And there is a serial number that you'll find on the bottom right. So using these details, here are the prompts that I had given to the models. So we're looking to extract the text from this letter, the sender details, as well as what was the serial number that we saw in this particular document. So upon giving it to Gemini, we did notice that it was able to retrieve the text perfectly well as the sender details. However, the serial number was again incorrectly retrieved. So you can see that over here it starts with a 340, whereas looking at the document, you can see it clearly starts with a 240, and this is again incorrect output. So moving on to ChatGPT and Claude, again, they could not process this particular document as it was heavily handwritten. And Claude gave us a similar response where it found it extremely difficult to decipher since the image quality is poor and the handwriting is also not clearly legible. So again, taking a look at this with LLM Whisperer after our pre-processing, you can see that all of your output is being extracted, and we even have the serial number that is extracted accurately. So this was again, this extraction was done using a GPT model, but the only difference that was made over here again is this pre-processing stage that we've been looking at for a while. So that sums up the various documents I wanted to show you, folks. I just wanted to show you an example of how these models work across documents of varying complexities and document formats. Now, moving back to the presentation, here is an outcome analysis of this exercise. So you can see the 4 documents that we've taken a look at right now. So with a fairly simple document with neat formatting, which was digitally native, like the credit card statement, you could see that all LLMs were able to perform pretty well. However, when it came to a scanned document, whether it was a loan application or the letter which was a bad scan, we were able to see that ChatGPT and Claude kind of dropped out of the race, whereas Gemini was able to extract data, but it was only partially correct. And with nested tables, however, Gemini did struggle with a few cases, even with our other documents that we'd used for this exercise, whereas ChatGPT and Claude were fairly able to perform better. So when it comes to an enterprise use case, you are going to be dealing with documents that come in various layouts and formats. And looking at this analysis, it is going to be impossible for us to deploy a specific LLM for each document format that you incur, which is why, again, with pre-processing, you can actually make a real difference with the state-of-the-art technology that we have right now when it comes to extracting data from your documents. And that is what we saw with this exercise. So that, folks, was the final segment of our webinar today. We took a look at, just to sum it up, we took a look at the various document extraction challenges that we face, how LLMs have arise to the occasion, and how they are really differentiating themselves in the market. And we went on to take a look at the necessity for a pre-processor tool like LLM Whisperer. We looked at its deployment, how it can be deployed, and the various features it supports. And finally, we even saw a face-off between extracting data from your documents using a preprocessor versus not using a preprocessor. Now, if you'd like to explore LLM Whisperer in more detail, you can always sign up for the platform and use the playground that we have to offer for you to test your own business documents. And you can also go through the extensive documentation that I had shown you. Another way to explore the platform would be to sign up for a personalized demo. This would be a free demo that we offer, where one of our experts will be able to sit with you and understand your specific business use cases and see how LLM Whisperer can be deployed in your business. So in case you are interested in this demo, please do drop your email IDs in the chat tab, and we'll be able to reach out to you proactively. So with that said, this webinar has come to an end, and we will be sending the recording of this session to all our registrants. So in case we have any questions, we can take up the Q&A as well. All right, I can see that few questions have already been answered. Naren, is this it? I think we can close this session, right?
Yeah, there's one other question. So just so I understand more what's happening under the hood. So Jason, there is a question on like simulate the workflow by first extracting the text from a PDF, saving it to a file, and then uploading it to AI model. Yeah. So the LLM Whisperer just does the text extraction, but with Unstract platform, you don't have to like do this end. I mean, it does end to end. So the first step, the LLM Whisperer, the text extraction happens, and then that is the text output is sent to the large language model, and then the structured extraction happens. So you don't have to like do this bit by bit. So the Unstract platform can actually do this like end to end. So you can like check it out, and then yeah, the Unstract platform, you can sign up for a free trial, and then you can try it out. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Naren, and thank you, everybody. I think that sums up all the questions that we had. So yeah, again, a reminder, please leave your feedback on your way out. And we're really looking forward to seeing you at our upcoming sessions and events. Thank you so much. Have a great day.